Canada has finally, sort of, told Israel to cut it out. Now, while Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had initially recognized some of the atrocities committed by the right-wing Israeli government, the Trudeau government, in general, had been fairly vague on their position in their statements up until now. So this was tweeted out by Trudeau's Foreign Affairs Minister Marc Garneau, saying, "Today, Canada delivered a statement at the UNHRC on the human rights situation in Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. Canada remains firmly committed to working with the international community to achieve lasting peace in the region." Full statement. So let me share for you a piece of the statement that impressed me, and another piece that shows me that not much has really changed. So first, this is good. Quote, "The continued expansion of settlements, demolitions, and evictions constitute a serious obstacle to achieving a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace. Canada calls on Israel to stop settlement activities, including those in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. These activities are a violation of international law and must cease. Canada reiterates that it does not recognize permanent Israeli control over territories occupied in 1967. So some of the stuff here that surprises me, an actual mention of expansion of settlements, demolitions as an obstacle to peace, telling Israel to stop settlement activities, and also discussing that it is a violation of international law. So this is a fantastic paragraph, and this is the stance that Canada must continue taking, not just in rhetoric, but maybe also with some action behind it, like sanctions. Also, so just to show you, there's a clear evolution in the rhetoric here, as back in 2018, as the serfs pointed out. This is every year the UN General Assembly reiterates its demand for an immediate and complete cessation of all Israeli settlement activities. In 2018, only 6 countries opposed this demand as laid down in UNGA resolution. So in 2018, Canada, one of only 6 countries, saying that no, the occupation is perfectly fine. No problem with it. So we see here in this language a change, an evolution of their initial stance. Also mentioned the Israeli control over territories here. So looking at the map, I've shown this before in another video as well, but you see here the slow taking over of land by Israel. So the UN plan, of course, in 47 and 48 was the first Nakba, the catastrophe, where Palestinians, 750,000 to 1 million, were expelled from their land. And then since then Israel's only taken more and more land. I mean, up until present day. And this graphic, I believe, is 2018. So this may be out of date here, some of the settlements. But you see here how much land has been taken from Palestinians. So it's good that Canada is recognizing some of this and saying it publicly, but without any real action behind it, any substance behind it. Sanctions, of course, then the wording only does so much. It only goes so far. And with that said, let me show you what hasn't really changed. So this is a part that on its own is fine, but also, of course, as I'll get to, it's what is omitted here that's the problem. The indiscriminate barrage of rockets fired by Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad into Israel was completely unacceptable. Canada supports Israel's right to live in peace with its neighbors within secure boundaries and its right to assure its own security. This right must be exercised in a way that is proportionate and fully respects human rights and international law. So nowhere here do they talk about Palestinians' right to defend themselves. So Israel can defend themselves. And they're mentioning here, it's nothing's wrong with coming out against the barrage of rockets fired by Hamas into Israel. Fine, but nowhere here are the civilian deaths by the Israelis brought up. So 243, I believe, the last count, 243 Palestinian civilians killed. I believe 63 children in that number. That, of course, not mentioned at all in this statement. And how you don't bring up the disproportionate killings, the clear imbalance of power here, how Palestinians are living in an open-air prison in Gaza, one of the most densely populated areas on earth, and you have the Israeli government just bombing it, killing civilians. Clearly here, a lot more can be done. So while it's good to see an evolution in their public statements, it means nothing without the pressure applied through targeted sanctions and other diplomatic means.